Now we have Professor Doris Ogeleka, an environmental and analytical chemistry expert who is joining us. She's also the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Petroleum Resources in Effiong, Delta State. She joins us from Delta State to speak on the devastating effects of the Maiduguri flooding and likely solution. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Good evening to the great people of Nigeria. Thank you for having me.
Okay, all right. So the devastating effect of the Maiduguri flooding left over 1 million persons displaced, causing the death of more than 30 persons. As an environmental expert, do you see human error as a major cause in all of this?
First of all, I want to sympathize with the people of Maiduguri for this devastating loss, and these issues are issues that have been caused by, to a great extent, human error. And one of the major one is climate change, ignorance and inaction, which has led us to where we are today. And also unplanned urbanization and development, in addition to poor drainage systems and also poor waste management system. We see people dumping their refuge in canals, which block the waterways, and once water cannot find its level, it returns back to find its course, and which is what we are having to what is happening with us today.
Okay, all right. And that the federal government is planning to upgrade the Alau Dam in Borno to check flooding. Don't you think this should have been done earlier as a precautionary measure?
Yes, it is, because what we are having now is more of a reactive measure than a proactive measure. In times like this, I think there should be more proper planning in terms of maintenance, monitoring, and upgrade of infrastructures, so that this kind of issues would have been taken care of before it actually happens. That's one of the major things that is leading us to where we are today, taking reactive measures rather than proactive measures.
Okay, all right. So what, in your opinion, needs to be done in preventing flooding across the country as the climate warning continues?
In looking at the solutions that we have to curb flooding, one, we need to institute proper urbanization planning and regulations. We have buildings built that block the canals or block the waterways, and these are things that the urban planning has to be very proactive in terms of approvals of buildings. And then also climate change issue, one of them we need to do is to stop gas flaring. We cannot dodge away from the fact that gas flaring has been one major problem that has led to much of the climate change issues that we are having. So in terms of government policies, we have to come back again to that to see that gas flaring needs to stop. And in addition to that, there should be environmental education and awareness. People need to be aware, and there are a lot of unhealthy environmental practices that we are embarking on that are not sustainable. And in terms of trying to see that we solve this problem, for every 1 tree you cut, plant 5. And these have to be nurtured so that we can get this flood away. And in addition to that, we should be able to get the weather forecast and early warning sign so that people are aware. And for government to plan ahead of time to be sure that, yes, these actions they are taken proactively rather than when the effect is already has hit us. But another thing we need to also look at, for those that are in the IDP camps, it is a measure that we need to take off in terms of their water, sanitation and hygiene. It has to be taken care of properly, because now that they are in flood-prone area, there's the issue of waste getting into the canals, and then issues of diseases that will come from bacterial infection, and all those devastating health conditions these are things that needs to be taken care of while government is looking at measures to combat the flood that we're actually experiencing. And
Okay.
also to see that NIMET warning is taken very seriously. We cannot rule or dodge away from the fact that when NIMET gives us predictions, we should key into them. They actually came up with the downscaling, which was done earlier part of the year, and that has helped a lot of farmers to be able to plant within the period of warning, and also to see that things in terms of climate change are actually taken care of.
All right, we thank you so much for joining us on our news at this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me too.